Around 50 pilots in the entire world are qualified to land at this airport. There's no instrument landing system, no radar guidance, no night landing. You weave through the Himalayan peaks and you don't even see the runway until you're about a mile out. This is Paro and I wanted to see if I could do it. Paro International Airport in Bhutan sits in a narrow Himalayan valley at 7,332 feet above sea level. The mountains around it reach up to 18,000 feet. There's no one runway, no ILS, and all approaches are done entirely visually. Hand flown. To be cleared to fly here commercially, you need at least 1,500 flight hours, over 500 hours of mountain flying specifically, airline transport certificate, intensive simulator training, and then 30 supervised takeoffs and landings before you're allowed to operate here unsupervised. That's the bar just to be considered. The result is that only around 50 pilots on the planet are actually qualified. And the runway doesn't show itself until you're already committed to the approach. 1 to 2 miles out, that's when you get your eyes on it. Everything before that is just terrain, judgment, and trusting the procedure. In real life, Drukair, Royal Bhutan Airlines operates the A319, but today I'm using the A320 into Paro. So that's exactly what I'm going to be flying today. Flying the A320, same type as Drukair uses in real life, keeping the flight short so we can focus on what the video is actually about. The approach. No VATSIM today, Paro Basic barely has any ATC infrastructure as it is already, and the approach itself is going to need my full attention. I don't want any splitting my focus on this one. So I'm coming in on runway 33 today. Approaching from the south, flying north up the valley, still no ILS, still entirely visual, still hand flown through the Himalayan terrain. And you can immediately see why this airport has the reputation it does. The valley is narrow, the mountains are right there on both sides, and the runway doesn't really show itself until you're already committed. There's no straight final to settle yourself. You're threading through the terrain the whole way down. No system helping you here, no glide slope needle, no autopilot flying the approach. It's just terrain, your eyes, and your own judgment about where the valley opens up. At higher altitudes, the air is thinner, so the aircraft needs to fly slightly faster than you'd expect at sea level to stay flying, and the ground comes up faster than it looks. Everything at Paro requires you to be a step ahead of the aircraft. And there it is, a mile out, maybe less, the runway just appears. You don't get time to admire it, you're already lining up. Okay, we're down, and that felt different to anything I've done before. Different in a way that's hard to explain until you've actually flown in. I did bounce a bit, and it wasn't perfect, but hey, it's the experience, and it was my first time. So, Paro, I'm not going to pretend that what I just did is anything like what a real Drukair captain does when flying in here. Those 50 pilots have hundreds of hours of mountain flying, simulator training specific to this airport, and supervised approaches before even allowed unsupervised. What I did was a simulation and an experience, but it gives you the real appreciation for why this approach has the reputation it does. The visual navigation, the late runway sighting, threading through the terrain, there's nothing else quite like it. And the valley itself is stunning. Even the sim, coming down into that landscape with the mountains on all sides, it's genuinely beautiful. Paro, probably the most unique approach I've done on this channel so far. If you haven't tried this one, it's worth doing at least once, just to try to understand what makes it special. Scenery links are in the description. There's a free option and a payware one, depending on what you're after. And just to put into context, I've done Madeira, London City, and now Paro. All three are generally challenging, but in a completely different way. Madeira is the crosswind and the ocean threshold. London City is the steep glide slope in the middle of the city. And Paro is this, through the Himalayan valley with no instruments and no margin. Each one has taught me something different, and honestly this one felt the most raw. If you're new here, this is basically what the channel is. Real flights, honest landings, and airports that actually push you. Subscribe if that sounds like your kind of thing. And I want to know, have you tried Paro? How did your approach go? Drop it in the comments, good or bad. I genuinely want to hear it. Next video is something a bit different, and I think you're gonna enjoy it. Thank you for watching. One more coffee, one more flight.